I'm going to go jump on the internet and I'm going to research why $500,000 to $700,000 in life insurance is important. So while I'm doing that, let's take a quick break.
All right. Hey folks, if you watch TV, then you probably know that your town has at least 2 mattress store chains, and if there's one thing those guys have in common, it's that their commercials are all really annoying. Wouldn't you like to see those commercials go away? Well, now you can make that happen and get a great night's sleep while you're at it. Thanks to the folks at Casper, there's a whole new mattress game in town. Casper Mattress was named by Time Magazine as one of the best inventions of 2015, and there's a reason for it. They're very well engineered with memory foam to create a great sleep surface, which I really love. I have a Casper mattress, and it's great. It's the best mattress I've ever had. So you can order one today, risk-free, for 100 nights from their website. You click here, click there, type in a few things. You know the drill. And your new Casper mattress will be delivered to your door. Try it out for a few weeks or months, and if you don't love it, which I doubt, but if you don't, Casper will pick it up, no cost to you, and refund all your money. Casper offers no-cost shipping and returns to the U.S. and Canada. With over 20,000 reviews and 4.8 stars, they're on their way to becoming the Internet's favorite mattress, and I know it's my favorite. So, get $50 off towards any mattress purchase by going to www.casper.com/sideways and using the offer code SIDEWAYS. That's www.casper.com/sideways. And remember that offer code, SIDEWAYS. So, put an annoying mattress store out of business and get a great night's sleep with Casper.
And we're back, and it turns out it's important because it's $500,000 to $700,000, and I don't know how I didn't figure that out the first time.
Yeah.
So it's 507 depending on how she died, or what?
Depending on the policy and the reporting that you look at. That's where the variance in the figure is. It's either 500 or 700.
Well, $500,000 is $500,000. I mean,
it's a $500,000 reasons.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd kill. No, of course not.
No, you wouldn't do that. I know you wouldn't.
No.
You'd blame it on Choopy.
You're not secretly a murderer.
No.
So let's go ahead and get into theories.
All right.
Theory number 1, which is the internet's most popular theory,
Which one's
is that this was totally a hit gone wrong.
Or a killer cyber.
No, not killer cyborgs. You got to stop inserting
no
that
killer
one.
cyborg from the future?
Nope. This is not Terminator.
Oh,
yeah, they got the wrong Mary Morris. That's where you're going with this. Now I see what you're doing.
They just decided, I don't know, all I got is a name, so I'll just get the phone book out. Yeah.
No, Arnold is not involved.
Damn it.
Nope. No T-9000s. Okay, so the theory is that someone, be it Mike or Dwayne or somebody else, they put out a hit on Mary McGinnis Morris. It turns out that whoever did this hired the hitman equivalent of Mr. Magoo.
Yeah.
And that person killed Mary Henderson Morris instead of Mary McGinnis Morris in the mistaken belief they got the right person. And then when they figured out they had killed the wrong person, they went back to then do the job right, which is why Mary McGinnis Morris was subsequently killed.
Well, they don't, I mean, they're both white women, approximately the same height, approximately the same build.
10 years apart, less than 10 years apart.
About the same hair color, too,
Yep,
even?
same hair length, basically, as well.
Yeah, I mean, they look pretty similar.
They drove cars that, though they were different makes from different manufacturers,
they look similar, too.
They were very similar, basic, blah sedans.
Yeah.
Were they the same color and everything?
I can't remember the color, but I know that Henderson had a Chevy Lumina.
Oh, was she the first one or the second one?
Yes, Mary Henderson Morris had the Lumina.
Okay.
And then Mary McGinnis Morris had a Dodge. Was it an Intrepid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, if you look at those models in, say, within a 4-year age time bracket of the year 2000, they look big sedans.
Yeah.
They all look the same. So there's nothing really distinct. So that's what this is based on. This theory then instantly splits into several sub-theories. Before we hit those sub-theories, though, there's something that you'll always see in the reading, which I don't completely agree with, but that reading will always say that point out how Mary Henderson Morris's wedding ring was missing. And it will also say that is typically done because supposedly hitmen take the wedding ring of the person they're killing to prove that the hit happened.
I thought it was their heads.
Or their hands.
Or a finger. Or an eyeball.
Okay.
Frankly, I don't see the point to it because, you're going to find, if you read the papers, you'll find out whether he succeeded or not, right?
In Hollywood, this makes sense. In a situation where it's a drug kingpin trying to track down a snitch who is in hiding and you have to bring back proof of the kill, maybe I could see that.
Well, but even
for a
then,
man that goes to bed every night with that woman?
Yeah, well, but even then, it's like, it's not... It's a ring. It comes off a person's live body. It's not, there's no proof in anything on a wedding ring. And furthermore, the fact that her purse and her wedding ring were missing just means that somebody wanted a little extra dough on the side.
Could be that.
Because you could just pawn all that stuff off.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that they took it as a token to prove that they had successfully done something.
No.
That's
Right.
silly.
And also, by the way, people take their wedding rings off from time to time, and not because they're screwing around. Maybe they're cleaning or whatever.
Yeah, no, I take a shower, I take mine off, and then I've forgotten it, and hours later I'm like, oh, crap.
I guess I'm not married. Woo-hoo! Yeah, but
Finally!
yeah, right on. But the wedding ring, was it ever found? Never found.
Never located.
I guess one possibility, I don't know, I'm sorry, again, we could be just jumping the gun here a little bit, but I guess one possibility is since the car was so destroyed, the perp thought that it probably would make it much harder to identify the body if he took the wedding ring and the purse with him, right? Because they wouldn't melt as much, so if they were able to say
melt.
that's the wedding ring, that's her wedding ring.
Those are the stones.
Yeah, if
like
things
that, yeah.
didn't melt or didn't burn as much.
Did they say anything about finding, say, a gold nugget in the car?
No. They didn't talk about the
yeah, no, right. We did find the gold nugget
in her car. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally have different feelings as to why Henderson's car was burned, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But like I said, it doesn't make any sense that if you're the guy that goes to bed with this woman every night in the same bed, that you would need proof.
Not really.
And if it's Dwayne, it doesn't make any sense because you run in the same circles and you know all the same people. So again, this is the silly thing, the hitman, but we're going to run down the hit theories. Hit theory number one is that Mike set it up. And there are a lot of things that make people think that Mike set up the hit. But if he did some really dumb things. The first of which is that there is a 4-minute call from his phone to his wife's phone 2 hours after the 911 call came in.
From her to the police. That frantic 911
her 911 call to the cops. 2 hours later, 2 hours later, there's a 4-minute call logged from his phone to her phone.
And we are talking a cell phone, right?
Correct. They are cell phones. When confronted about it, he said that there's got to be a problem with the phone company because what he did is he just let it ring and ring and ring in hopes that she would pick up, and it just kept ring. Well, yeah, and this is the year 2000 when voicemail was not a default feature on a call plan. You had to enroll and pay for it.
Was it?
Yes. I worked for, we talked about this a week or two ago. I worked for a phone company at this time, and you had to enroll and pay. Certain plans required you to pay for voicemail. So they probably didn't have voicemail.
It could be, and Mike might have actually been in one of those stubborn moods where he just said, screw you, I know you're there. I'm just going to set the phone down and let it ring and ring and ring and ring.
The problem is, it should not have registered as a call.
Yeah, it shouldn't because it wasn't picked up. Yeah, it wasn't picked up.
Yes.
Unless it was picked up by voicemail, but
or picked up by somebody.
It shouldn't have rung for 4 minutes.
Right. It should have it should have gotten the eventual disconnect from the phone company and not sat there that long.
Well, although I will say, at least every voicemail I've ever had, the default is that the voicemail will cut you off after 5 minutes. It'll let you leave a 5-minute long message, and that's the max. So I don't know what it was at that point, but I guess it's possible he maybe, called and thought he hung up and put the phone down and it rang and it hit voicemail and then it was just a blank message. But even then, they should have found... no, I don't like it.
The cell company should have ended the call after about a minute.
Yeah.
That's apparently typical.
Yeah.
So that's one problem. There, like we talked about, they would have had to have had the voicemail for what you're talking about for it to have gone through and eventually gotten kicked off. I've never seen any records that show the call on Mary's records and Mike's records to show it a real call. Because to me, if it's a real connected call, it should be registered on both phone A and phone B.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that, so I can't confirm that that's truly what happens here. But the police are pretty sure that he is just lying through his teeth, because the problem is that he had no reason to think that his wife was missing at that point.
Well, unless he had hired a hitman to kill her.
Okay. If you're on the side of Mike is innocent and he didn't do it, for him to have made a 4-minute ringing, I'm going to get your attention, answer the phone call. He has said, I was distraught and I just let it ring and ring and ring in hopes that she would answer it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. The other problem is he was at the movie theater with his daughter. Why would he be freaking out? I mean, okay, maybe Mary was supposed to meet them at the theater and she didn't show up, but sitting there for 4 minutes ringing is pretty extreme.
Well,
A little bit.
Two things. One is I stand by my theory that it's possible that he thought he hung up and he didn't.
Yeah.
There's that.
Stand by
Except
that.
he said that he let it ring that. So he affirmed that he sat there with the phone to his face for 4 minutes.
Okay. The other thing I'll say is that apparently he was following her with his car because he really didn't trust her. So if he, in his mind, had, worked up that she was with her lover, for him to just be like, again, as Joe said, kind of like, screw you, I know you're there. I'm going to leave this phone ringing while you're, getting it on with your lover, because that'll be a distraction. And
Entirely
then
possible.
you'll have to, confront me at some point.
I'm not going to discredit that at all.
I can get myself to that insane headspace on my most insane hormonal moments, but I mean, it's not a great theory.
And it's a little counter to some of the things that he said.
Yeah.
I totally understand where you're coming from. He said some things that make it seem that they can't be.
I think you would say, I thought she was cheating on me, so I let it ring because I was trying to get a hold of her, not I thought she was missing.
Yeah. And by the way, her cell phone was found in her car, correct?
I can't say yes to that because it's never stated if it was. The case is technically open, so of course the records from the police are not available.
Yeah.
I don't know if indeed her phone was found there. I was going to say at one point, well, I saw a picture of her phone record, but except I don't know that that's actually real because as we talked about in the last story that I did, it was an Unsolved Mysteries episode, and so I think that's some kind of mocked up phone record. So I have no idea. I can't say if her phone was there or not.
Yeah. But, if he wasn't calling her, if he was calling the hitman, that makes absolutely no sense
It's
either.
the stupidest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Any idiot should know better.
Well, the hitman, if he has a cell phone, then I'm sure he does. I mean, the whole idea of calling the hitman on his wife's cell phone is kind of silly.
Yeah.
Super silly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going forward, though, with the Mike setup, the hit theory. Another thing that makes people finger him as the bad guy is that his wife was known to wear a ring that wasn't on her body at the time that it was found.
Now,
and this isn't her wedding ring.
Not a wedding ring.
Not a wedding ring.
Was her wedding ring on her, by the way?
I don't know that. But this was another ring. I have to presume it was. But this is, women wear multiple rings, and some wear a certain ring all the time, and she was known to wear one of these rings on a regular basis, and it was not there with her body. He reported it missing to the police, but then his daughter was seen wearing that ring several months later, at which point when he was confronted with it, he said that he had found it in the house, and he just forgot to tell the cops.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about this from the angle of a man who has lost his wife and is trying to deal with his grieving daughter, and he finds a ring, or his daughter finds the ring, He's not going to make a big deal out of it because he's trying to hold his friggin' life together. I can see how this is not a big thing to call the cops and say, oh, hey, that's that sterling silver ring she wore all the time with the little etching on it. Yeah, we found it.
Especially,
he might have not considered it to be all that important.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to
Yeah.
say. Especially if, they said, okay, so what was she usually wearing? And he, would have said, I don't know, she, a shirt that looked like this, and she often wore this ring and, jeans and probably these shoes, and that, and that's, in the heat of the moment when you're worried about your wife, that you say that, and then, months later you find that ring, you're not going to think, oh, the police will want to know about this. You're going to just say, oh, this was a ring that was really special to your mother.
Right.
You should have it.
Or the daughter finds it and says, I found mom's ring. Honey, wear the ring. Take
Great.
it. If
Yeah.
it makes you feel, if it
Fine.
helps, do it. Yes,
Yeah.
do whatever you got to.
Yeah.
Whatever, hawk it and buy some drugs. Do whatever you got to do, honey.
No,
No.
that's not what happened.
Let's not do that.
Now, before people, I've said a couple of statements. I feel like maybe I've defended Mike a little bit. I also kind of beat on him a little bit for the stupid things if he was the one who did this. There's some other things that Mike has done that a lot of people don't like that have put him in the hot seat. Number one of which is the fact that he lawyered up almost immediately.
Well,
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah?
If my boyfriend, if he had a life insurance policy of, $500,000 to $700K, and then he showed up murdered somewhere, I would immediately get a lawyer. Of course.
Yeah.
How often have we seen cases where the husband just innocently walks in and is like, okay, I'll answer your questions, and they're suddenly they're prime suspect, only to then months later, after being drugged through the mud
Or jailed.
get released with a little sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
But we've also seen it go the other way, where they walked in, they answered all the questions, and the police fingered him, and sure as hell, they turned out to be the one that was guilty and did it. So you can see why the cops, but you can also see where he's coming from. So, I mean, I get why he lawyered up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he also refused to let the cops talk to his daughter. Because
how old was she?
She was a teenager. She was, I think, 14 at the time.
Okay.
But so the cops want to talk to her, and he doesn't let them talk to her for a good 2 months. And I can see that again. This is the father who is trying to defend his daughter and insulate and protect her, and it's not till a certain amount of time that he feels like she's ready. Or the other side of the camp is this is a man who is responsible, and he is very carefully crafting and curating his daughter's responses and statements to the situation.
Let's be honest.
It's both sides.
There's never going to be a winning reaction. I mean, we talk about this a lot on this show, that the spouse or family of people who show up murdered or disappeared, there's never the right way to react. People are always going to suspect you, and people are always going to think you're innocent, no matter what the situation is. And that's just, unfortunately, that's the truth of the matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so, but yeah, as far as I don't know, she might have. It could be suspicious. I don't know.
Well,
eventually he let her talk, though. So
he did.
So whatever she had to say, she got to tell it to the police. So.
True. Yeah. He also famously refused to take a polygraph, which I think we've talked ad nauseum about how unreliable polygraphs are. But he also said, listen, I'm on a bunch of medication right now. He was taking stuff for the stress and the anxiety and the depression. And he really, I think probably correctly so, didn't think that the police could adequately calibrate the polygraph to accommodate for that.
Well,
that's fair.
In other words, I don't think you can.
There are them that say that even without the stress and the drugs, that you can't calibrate them because they're kind of voodoo.
Yeah.
But there's that too.
They are.
Yeah.
So, speaking of voodoo, currently I have a little voodoo doll of Mike in my hand, and I am randomly sticking needles in it.
Sorry,
and
Mike.
let me go ahead and stick one more needle in it, which is to talk about his wife's car.
Okay.
Her car was a car that we're really used to this today. You put it in drive and you start to move and the doors lock, the auto lock function. That's super common now, but that was not super common in 2000. But people say, well, if his wife was in a car that had possibly been moving, then the doors would have auto-locked, and so there's no way the bad guy could have got into it. So he had to have given said bad guy the key to either get into it when it was parked and hide in the back seat and that old movie trope thing, or